Everyone says I'm the original influencer.
But sometimes I feel like I helped create a monster.
Hi, okay, I want to talk about influencers. I have been for a little while fascinated on where exactly influencers come from. It is a weird concept to think that someone who films or shows their life on Instagram can have influence or be paid, let's say, a good amount of money to just live their life. So I decided to dive in and be the over-curious overachiever that I am to understand the origins of influencers, or like I like to call them, glamorous cult leaders. Traditionally, to influence or to be an influencer is a person who inspires or guides the actions of others. It is someone or something with the power to alter the beliefs of individuals and as a result impact the course of events. An influencer has the power to change opinions, trends, and values in a culture. And looking at it further, its power can't be overlooked. Unfortunately, intended or not, this person, by its position in society, has now acquired a responsibility toward its followers. This person becomes a role model for those who they influence. I say intended or not because not every influencer decides to land in this position. But we will come back to this later. Of course, in recent years, we have seen that this powerful word has become the job title for numerous women and men on the internet, mainly on Instagram. They are commonly called social media influencers. Before the abolition of the feudal system, it was royalty who had absolute power. Yes, of course, religion also had their share in that influence. But we must remember that royalty was supposed to be the embodiment of God on earth. So, for the sake of you viewers, we will include them in the word royals. So, royals dictated fashion, culture, values, tradition, hell, even life and death. Although their influence was more imposed by dictatorship than selected by their population, their power was undeniable. For centuries, they ruled with an iron fist. A few iconic figures were Henry V, Henry VIII, who literally started a new branch of Christianity just so he could divorce one of his multiple wives. Queen Victoria, Cleopatra, Elizabeth I, and Marie Antoinette. This until their peasant subject, as one would say, decided to revolt and decided that monarchy was lame and unfair, and it needed to come to an end. Not only this, but also the Industrial Revolution that incited an exodus from their rural life. After the feudal system was dismantled, people could now climb the economic class ladder due to capitalism. From there, a new type of wealth emerged, the upper class. In this new reality, you did not need to be born into wealth. You could work your way there. How cool is that? As time passed, with revolutions and changes in political systems, royalty was tossed in a corner and kind of overshadowed by the upper class, and the power now laid in the hands of this new type of influential people. Of course, the upper class was and still is quite close with royals, being primarily influenced by the royals' lifestyle. These people could be doctors, lawyers, bankers, factory owners, merchants, and shopkeepers. They live amongst the plebe. Not all of them, of course. Some of them were out there like building empires and like big houses, but this made them more relatable and attainable as opposed to royalty. Therefore, they almost single-handedly became the influencers of society, the role model to attain and just more accessible to the masses. Then we entered the 20th century, and cinema became more popular and available. And as two world wars would unfold in the first half of the century, cinema became a way to distract the masses of the dark reality of this era. This catapulted actresses and musicians into a new type of fame that came with power and influence. I am, of course, talking about the celebrity status. Being a celebrity implies that you're well known or that you're a public figure, which before was strictly assigned to royals or the upper class. Being a celebrity is also a way to enter the upper class. In today's world, they're the one that we usually link when we think about rich people, but not all rich people have influence or public figure or celebrities. In 1905, Mira Cigarette had a novel idea to feature film star and comedian Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle in their print ads, making him one of the first celebrities to publicly endorse a product. The campaign was so successful, numerous celebrities and athlete endorsement followed suit. The famous endorsement or sponsorship concept. Actresses, musicians, athletes, or in another word, celebrities became the new influencers of trends, fashion, cultures, and values. And with the concept of endorsement or sponsorship, companies in the upper class pushed even harder for them to be in the spotlight and have influence so their product could be successful. As Hollywood entered its golden age, the phenomenon of following the life of stars became a way of making a living with paparazzo and its own type of entertainment. Magazines would feature them in interviews in which their thoughts and life would be exposed and seen as desirable. Their private life plastered in gossip magazines. Their life would even have their own segment on the news. If, let's say, Marilyn wore a mermaid dress, it would become all the rage for the next few months and even years. If they primarily influenced fashion, their political opinions also had power. As years advanced and photography became even more accessible, it allowed the public to see these influential people more often. However, celebrities desired a private and secluded life or just normal life. And that made it even more interesting to be able to have a look on what their life was due to the idea of exclusivity. With the power that they held came the responsibility to their followers. Magazine paparazzis and interviews allowed the public to get the insight on their life. Celebrities were the new royals.
This is the Paris Hilton story, okay?
Wait a second.
Hold on a second. I'm going to make a point.
Lord.
We're not covering this, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm done with the Paris Hilton story.
Who is Paris Hilton? They're little stars. They've become names. To them, it's like a job. I believe they wake up every morning and say, okay, where am I supposed to be tonight? At 16 and 18, Nikki and Paris Hilton are the littlest socialites in town. Thin, blonde, and well-born, their great-grandfather was Conrad Hilton. They moved from LA with their parents 3 years ago and are now out and about with the city's most entitled teens, like Heloise, whose stories the two said they read like 100 years ago. They live in a hotel, the Waldorf. Without even a smile, they can breeze past the velvet ropes at Mumba or get a seat at Le Bilboquet. Born in the upper class, Paris Hilton is a heiress of the Hilton's hotel fortune. She became famous for being famous, or at least that's what most people would tell you. Her fame is explained by her becoming a very well-known figure in the socialite and modeling scene of New York, which ultimately helped her become a celebrity and the original influencers as we know them today. She moved with her family to New York during her teenage years and wanted to rebel from her strict parents. She started to party like any normal teenager, except she was not a normal teenager due to her position as an heiress. Her family was known in New York. She started her socialite career by going out to clubs and being the talk of the town. To make it make more sense, it is important to understand that socialites, which in its definition is a person who usually comes from a wealthy or aristocratic background and plays a prominent role or is very frequently involved in high society. A socialite generally spends a significant amount of time attending various fashionable and social gatherings. They can be topic on the news, but usually have a private life since they're known in their own social circle and they don't need to be a public figure. So Paris Hilton became the it girl of New York. And soon after her sex tape and the reality show The Simple Life, she became the it girl of the world. She slowly transitioned from socialite to celebrity. Paris didn't just get into the party scene. Paris Hilton was the party scene. At the young age of 16, Paris grew her reputation to be the wild party girl. In the early 2000s, she didn't even have to do anything. As long as Paris Hilton was there, everybody would be there too. She would hang out with celebrities and would be photographed by paparazzis to be talked about. The brand she would endorse could become successful just because Paris Hilton made them famous. Her lifestyle was the new trend. Every girl wanted to be Paris Hilton. You can see her influence in the way people talk, how they dress, to the way their body looked. The idea of Paris Hilton was hypnotizing, and her presence so iconic that when you think of Y2K, you think of Paris Hilton. Even movies for teenagers were heavily influenced by her persona. With her name, she became a businesswoman, founding her own perfume line, beauty products, amongst many other businesses. And we need to talk about The Simple Life. The Simple Life was a reality show that you can look up if you don't know exactly what it is about, in which Paris and Nicole Richie were the main focus. Their personality was what made the show. Also helped with the controversy of her sex tape, it was primarily The Simple Life that made them even more famous. They became reality stars. It was the first time that a show followed the life of relatively known people. It was kind of like a vlog before vlogging became a thing. Climbing the social ladder, being photographed as well as promoting brands in her own persona and magazine and on television. With her glamorous and controversial lifestyle, Paris settled the foundation for futurist influencers.
I remember 2004, around that time, she was like grabbing her camera, taking a picture of herself. I didn't even know what a selfie was. All the things that people are doing today with social media, the first person was Paris Hilton.
I
I wouldn't be here today if it hadn't been for, number one, her starting off in the reality world and her introducing me to the world.
It is a well-known fact that Kim Kardashian was apparently Paris' best friend, but also her assistant. Kim Kardashian became a reality star with Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Her controversial sex tape catapulted the family into stardom. If the simple life was vlogish, Keeping Up with the Kardashians was the blueprint for what is now the traditional influencer's vlog. It featured their usual day routine, their family dynamics, and then promoting various brands, as well as their job as an influencer. At this point, this seemed to be the only way to become an influencer. But not everyone had the luxury to be one because they did not have the means. However, as YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook solidified their place in the media, anyone who had a cell phone and even better a camera could simply pick it up, film themselves, and build a following on these platforms. The most surprising aspect of this is that they actually became popular and were actually able to become influencers. We can think of Tana Mongeau, James Charles, or Claudia Sulewski. Fast forward to the last few years where we have seen an exponential increase of influencers on the internet. Their job requires them to promote products, a brand, and their lifestyle. If at first to be an influencer you had to seem unrelatable, now we ask for relatability by following your life on social media and on Instagram. Soon, your identity becomes this title or now job. You embody the brand or what your sponsor's values are. Basically what Paris Hilton achieved in the 2000s. I think this point is the one that I want to talk the most about. To me, it is crazy how influencers can hold so much power in their hands. At the moment, the most powerful are the Kardashian-Jenner family. They have been able to keep their relevance for a decade with their ability to shape-shift into whatever it is that people are interested in and be ahead of the curve. What is most fascinating is how this family has been able to change beauty standards to bend it to what their body looks like. Most girls on Instagram want to have their looks and their wealth. You can notice how almost every influencer or simple user of social media tries to mirror their feed. The obsession with Kim Kardashian's butt became inextricably linked with rising consumer interest in butt lifts. According to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, between 2000 and 2018, such procedures increased by 256%. So many women struggle with body dysmorphia because all we constantly see in the media is this Photoshop ideal. Even the Kardashians themselves suffer from their own invention. It is almost inevitable to be aware of who influencers are. You can laugh at them and say they're just dumb pretty girls who post their asses on Instagram for a living, but you cannot deny their relevance and power. Aside from beauty standards, their political and economic influence is also to be noted. An influencer can make a company increase or decrease their sales. In 2018, Kylie Jenner tweeted, "So, does anyone else not open Snapchat anymore, or is it just me? Oh, this is so sad. Trying to salvage the company's sales." She later tweeted, "Still love you though, Snapchat. My first love." But it was too late. The company's stock had already lost 1.3 billion American dollars due to this event. Of course, when it comes to the Kardashian-Jenners, we are speaking impacts on a global scale. Local influencers do have a certain power, but not to this level. We also need to understand that social media makes everyone more influential because of how easier it is to reach a bigger public. Just think about it. Just you, by posting a story where you wear a certain brand, you're playing the game that Paris or the Kardashian created. We showcase our political, ethical thoughts and opinion online, and even if we don't see our impact, we are letting others into our life. Something that before only celebrities had the privilege or the possibility to do. Just looking back to this past year, we have been locked up due to this pandemic, and even if our social interactions have been limited, we have been able to advocate for many causes such as BLM or Stop Asian Hate, amongst many others. In a way, we all have become little influencers with micro platforms. And of course, recently there has been a variety of new types of influencers. Fitness influencers, doctors influencers, psychologists, gossip, you name it. And there's probably a niche for almost any type of interest or hobby that you may have. So it's not all bad. You just have to pick which one you want to follow and which one is good for you. As we can see from history, society always had their influencers, from royals to upper class to celebrities to influencers. We can only reach the conclusion that either we are used to be influenced because it has been imposed on us since the beginning by royals, or it is in our nature as humans to follow someone when it comes to our cultural choices. Way before social media and the hashtag relatable trend, most influencers were almost seen as above humans. Of course, for royals, it was because they embody a divinity. And for celebrities, it was because the only time that we saw them was plastered on magazine or in the small or big screen. Because of this, they were seen as unattainable, untouchable, inhuman almost. Decades later, we are for the most of us in secular cultures. Yet for the big names with big followings, it is almost like we elevate them to a god level. Even if in the end they are still humans, we still see celebrities and influencers like something above or beyond human. On the flip side, as they gain this power, they also get scrutinized. As we put humans being in a position of power, we love to hate them. We want to put them down after we place them in this position. When we put so much power in the hands of a human, we expect perfection out of them. Then when we see them fail or fall, we destroy them because they are supposed to know better, right? After all, aren't they living like gods? We have invented a culture of canceling that is pretty useless in my opinion, but that's aside the point. And we mercilessly gossip about these people not necessarily knowing everything that is happening in their head or in their world. We think we know who they are because we get a glimpse of their lives through social media or the magazine and entertainment. To a certain point, we violate their sense of privacy, and these people at the end of the day are still strangers to us. Going back to the beginning, not all influencers choose to land this position. For example, celebrities, musicians, yet they still have to carry this privilege that can become an obstacle to their own freedom. If one thing sticks with me after all my research is that we will always look for someone to influence us, thinking that they might know better on how to achieve happiness or what is wrong from right. So this was my video. Don't be shy, go subscribe, give it a thumbs up, go comment down below, go share it. I love you all. Oh my god, guys, it's also my birthday next week, the 7th of June. So for you, I don't know when that will be, but as Paris would say, that's hot. Send me all your love, guys, because I'm self-centered. You all already know it. Bye.